in Ukraine, with potentially hundreds of thousands of people dying, we must demand the immediate negotiation of a peaceful end to the war in Ukraine, or we will end up in World War III and there will be nothing left of our planet, all because stupid people didn't have a clue. They didn't have a clue. They don't understand. They really don't understand. I rebuilt our military. I rebuilt our nuclear power. They don't understand what they're dealing with, the power of nuclear. They have no idea what they're doing. I withdrew from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal in Ukraine, with potentially hundreds of thousands of people dying.
I don't know if the audio was too low on that.
Peaceful end to the war in Ukraine.
The audio. What was the audio too low? Did we hear what Orange Man Bad had to say? Good afternoon, everybody. It's 12:01. This is not a question of. We'll deal with one thing at a time. I just tweeted out. I mean, it's going to be the essence of the intro here. Everybody is out there on Twitter, claiming, arguing Putin is the equivalent of Hitler. Putin is Hitler 2.0, Hitler 2022. Let's just, this is a conflict where, much like, say, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, you ask both sides and the other side is going to be the incarnation of evil. But let's just operate on the basis. We accept the analogy. Putin is, in essence, the same as Hitler. He has global domination, ethnic cleansing, all of those aspirations. We'll operate on that basis for the sake of discussion. There's one material difference between Putin and Hitler, which is so determinate, it makes the comparison juvenile in its militaristic policy simplicity. They may have, I'll accept, in essence, Putin, for the purposes of argument, is spiritually, ideologically the same as Hitler. You know what the major difference is? Hitler didn't have nuclear weapons. Now, that doesn't make, if we're operating on this analogy, Putin's aspirations legitimate. It doesn't mean he should get away with it if that's the way the discussion is going. But it does mean that if you don't change your idealistic, oversimplified, militaristic policy response to that minor difference, Hitler did not have weapons susceptible of ending the world, whereas Putin does. If that doesn't change your approach, and you go back to appeasement policies, you go back to Chamberlain policies, you go back to you can't negotiate with fascist dictators because they will only ask for more. If that doesn't change your approach to viewing this conflict, you're probably wrong. You're probably part of a problem, which is if Putin is Hitler, there's no negotiation possible. A military victory is the only possible outcome. Well, if Putin is Hitler, he's Hitler plus nukes. And so that is a distinction. It's an all-out military response against a person as crazy, globally domineering as Hitler. Well, all-out conflict isn't really going to work when they have nuclear weapons as well. And so we're sitting in a world now, it's Monday, trying to not remain optimistic. And by the way, Chris, I'm not saying that this is true of Putin. I'm just, it simplifies all arguments when you concede or agree to agree on the premise of the opponent. Putin is Hitler. Okay, look, I don't think, I think there's more material distinctions. I think if Putin were genocidal, if Putin had ideas of global domination, this conflict with Ukraine, the war in Ukraine would look much different. I'm not an expert, so I wouldn't tout my opinion as though it carries any more weight than that. I think there's other differences. The idea is, I'll agree to the premise. Okay, you're right. For the sake of discussion, Putin is Hitler. Okay, well, there's a big difference. Putin has nuclear weapons. Hitler didn't. If that doesn't change how you view this conflict and a resolution to this conflict, you might be one of the people saying, I hope when things go down that I'm not in the line of fire. And now it's Monday morning. trying not to be a Debbie Downer, a Viva Valium. Try to start the week off not with optimism, because optimism is not always an asset. I say realism is the asset. You don't want to get down, but we lived through a weekend where, if anybody's on Twitter, you literally saw people cheering. Was it a suicide bomber who blew up the bridge joining Crimea to Russia? You had blue check marks, and lots of them, celebrating the fact that I think it was a suicide bomber or someone in a truck that blew up, damaged a portion of the bridge adjoining what some people view to be an annexed Crimea, what other people view to be a Crimea that voted for independence or voted to join Russia. You have people cheering on. I've been waiting for this day. It's like a dream. People died, by the way. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how many or whom they were, but people died. An attack on critical infrastructure, people celebrating. There were videos of people in bars cheering, blue check marks saying, I've been dreaming of this day forever. Oh, if you think Putin is Hitler, what do you think Hitler would do if you just bombed a bridge adjoining, let's go by the analogies, but they're not analogous, adjoining an annexed land to Nazi Germany? What do you think Hitler would do? Would Hitler say, you got me, war's over, here, let's stop now? What do you think a nuclear armed Hitler would do? Oh, you got me, you got the bridge, but apparently the bridge has been repaired in any event, but you got me. What do you think a Hitler would do? It reminds me of that scene from Fight Club where, Meatloaf and all the others, they're running around blowing things up, and then Meatloaf gets, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, but something bad happens to Meatloaf. And Tyler Durden says, what did you think was going to happen? You're running around blowing stuff up. What did you think was going to happen? And so over the weekend, celebrating an attack on critical infrastructure, and now conflict being what it is, it's not a one-game chess board where only one person gets to move at a time. Now we have Putin, Russia, launching missiles, hitting Kiev, and killing innocent people. And people are screaming in horror now, as they should be. And then you get Donald Trump saying, we need to back off and negotiate something of a peace treaty, a settlement here. You get Elon Musk saying, this is what I would envision. I'm not a historian, but seems logical. Land-based. No, people want to go to war, and people want to continue with this war. And you see how it doesn't escalate. It degenerates. It's, you blew up my bridge, I'm bombing your cities. You bombed my cities, now I'm bombing your cities. This is how, the conflict in Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland. Brothers killing brothers, and then brothers avenging the deaths of their brothers. And it's an endless spiral. We've seen it in Israel-Palestinian conflict. We're seeing it now. And it's not a question of cooler heads not prevailing. You got people who are just hoping, banking on the fact that they're not going to be in the crosshairs, saying, go, go, go. Can't negotiate with Hitler, even if Hitler has nuclear weapons, where all-out conflict would probably end the world as we know it. It's grown men acting like children, grown men sending other people's children to the slaughter. The people egging on Ukraine to not accept any form of a negotiated settlement with Russia. Well, they're pretty shielded. They're pretty far away, or they're politicians in their bunkers. They're politicians in their safe spots. And now the people saying this is getting serious. Putin, Hitler, as you might think he is, big difference. And maybe we need to figure out a way to solve this without, oh no, but Hitler wouldn't use nuclear weapons. Hitler, if Putin is Hitler and Putin has nuclear weapons, he wouldn't use them. He's rational. He knows that would be the end of him. Oh. And so over the weekend, people literally celebrating an attack on critical infrastructure as though in a war there would be no retaliatory response. Anyway, it's tough not to get down. You have to have faith and not the blind faith. You have to have the faith, but do the work as well and push people in the right direction. Cooler heads will prevail. And at some point, this endless spiral, because it goes one of two ways. It either spirals well out of control, or, the conflict continues, but the West's interest in it becomes less and less. It wanes over time. And so you end up having this conflict years down the line, but the West is no longer interested in it. And yet innocent people caught in the crosshairs are still suffering. So that's it. That's the intro. Curmudgeon. Let's just see. Have we been demonetized? Apparently, when you say Hitler too many times on YouTube, we're still green. I genuinely don't care about it. Just want to see what the rules are for this week. So that's that. Just people should appreciate that. If you think Putin is Hitler, okay, he's Hitler plus nukes. That should change the way you deal with him. You may not like it, and life is not fair, and sometimes the only good solution is the one that leaves everybody unhappy. I would argue to say, more often than not, the only good solution is the one that leaves everyone relatively equally unhappy. And for the love of goodness, that avoids more innocent bloodshed. Because the wars are fought by men and women in boardrooms, and it's suffered by boys and girls on the street. Chris Wyans, Crimea Merch Bridge blown, Starlink down, Crimea Bridge fixed, West celebrates attack, Russia responds, SBU H course, I think that's the Ukrainian, goes boom, introducing General Surovikin. I don't know who that is. I'll have to look that up afterwards. So that's the intro rant. Not a question of getting angry on a Monday morning. It is a question of the expression. Where's it from? I said it was from the Bible because I'm an idiot, but the Lord loves a working man. Goodness is its own reward. Okay, parentheses. Back in my old office when I used to be a lawyer, a practicing lawyer in Quebec, and I looked like one too. We had basically the entire floor, but not the entire floor. There was like one small office, and we had the rest of the floor. And I go into the bathroom, and there is a mess in the toilet, a big stinky mess, not mine. And I would admit it if it's mine. That's not the purpose of the story. It wasn't mine, and it's stinking up the bathroom. It's sitting in the toilet. Whoever did it didn't flush before they left. It was no one in my office. But we have guests, and there's someone else on the floor. So I flush, and I actually cleaned it up a little bit so that the next person who came in wouldn't have to deal with it. As I was leaving the restroom, someone else came in. And I remember thinking to myself, and it's the stupidest thought that's still with me like a decade later, had I not cleaned up that poop in the toilet, leaving that toilet room, the person coming in who I didn't know would have thought I made the mess, and I was the ass for not cleaning it up. And so, no. So the goodness is its own reward in that I flushed it. It was someone else's disgusting poop. But there were only two outcomes there. It's not mine. I'm leaving it there. And then when I leave, the person thinks it was me wrongly. Or goodness is its own reward. So I think that was after kids. I think after you have kids, you no longer view poo with the same disdain. Vomit, however. Someone tell me what the fear of vomit is, because I have a fear of vomit. Okay, that's the intro. Standard disclaimers. No medical advice, no election fortification advice, no legal advice, despite what some of you might want out there. Those YouTube super chats, YouTube takes 30%. We're simultaneously streaming on Rumble. Rumble has the equivalent called Rumble Rants. They take 20%. You know the shtick. If you want to support the channel, those are the good ways. One thing I have not been doing is properly promoting my own merch. Robert Barnes and we have merch. And I keep forgetting. Like I saw Salty Crackers. It's like, holy crap, what a good idea. Why don't I let people know about the merch that Viva Fry has? Go to vivafry.com if you want to buy a shirt. Politics Ruins Everything is a good one. Hinged, Fringed, whatever. It's all there. Here, I'll put this in. The link, it should be there somewhere. Yeah, whatever. This is another way to support us. You can go to Locals. We are nearly at 100,000 members in that community. It's an unpaid member, so you can be a member, just follow. You get a bunch of stuff. There's exclusive stuff for supporters, but you don't have to support. Ton of content that's readily available for everybody, every member of the community. It's a great community. I'm going to close this down. Viva Fry, bumper stickers, and whatnot. Oh, I remember me back then. Oh, okay, so that's it. No legal advice. What else was there? And we're going to go to Rumble in about 15 minutes. Goodness is its own reward. It has to be. Nothing else rewards it. Author Marcia Hins. Did you see this, Viva? Nature lover, I still think it's from the Bible. And the Lord loves a working man. Keep working and you'll fix your problem. So don't despair, because despair makes for idle hands. Idle hands are the tools of the devil. Wow, this is getting biblical. Don't despair. Continue to work in a manner that could be effective. I want to bring this up because I want to have the discussion. So if Hitler had nukes, we say, okay, for peace, you can keep Europe, but cut down the rate of genocide to 100,000 Jews a year. I think not. Some things just can't be accepted. You've made a lot of statements there. And it's actually virtually impossible to respond to them. If Hitler had nukes and the risk was that there would be the end of everyone, you would potentially try to negotiate certain things differently. So too much cram-packed in here and too much judgmental rhetoric. But there would be ways to contemplate negotiations. And by the way, Douglas, don't think for I think it's a relatively common misconception that World War II was fought over the Holocaust, over the genocide of the Jews. That's an arguable historical thesis. It's an arguable historical premise. In fact, some forces were supplying arms and supplies to both sides, knowing what was going on. So the idea that World War II was fought for the genocide of the Jews is, I think, it's historically not entirely supportable. But again, that's a totally different discussion. All that to say, the analogy fails. Because if Putin is Hitler, he's Hitler plus nukes. And that means he's not Hitler. If you believe he is Hitler, it makes him exponentially more dangerous to the existence of the planet. Okay, Ukraine should just accept invasion, Georgia too. Israel should just lay down and let Palestinians invade. Well, there's again, cram-packed. There are people who believe that Israel has invaded Palestine and that Palestinians have the right to that land. So, I mean, these things, you can't just throw around analogies in immensely complex situations. And it does highlight the fact that when it comes to regional conflict, they are immensely complicated, which means that the solutions are going to have to be relatively complicated. Ukraine should just accept invasion. Russia invaded unprovoked. Jabberwolf, I think you might do good to get both sides of this explanation, even in Israel and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. No one is going to agree with your premise in the middle here. Israel should just lay down and let Palestinians invade. There are people with legitimate grievances who believe that Israel invaded Palestine, and how can the Palestinians just sit down and let Israel invade? And I would argue it's not a perfect analogy. They never are. The conflict in the east of Ukraine is slightly more complex than that comment in the super chat. And I'm not saying this to be glib or tongue-in-cheek. Thank you for the super chat. These discussions are complex and not simplified to Putin, Hitler, no negotiations, no appeasement, because no. All right. What do we have on the menu today? Jon Stewart's an idiot. Okay, period. Jon Stewart's an idiot. Can't remember my own notes here. He's a useful, he might be worse than a useful idiot. He's a destructive idiot. It's like I don't, the NPC programming thing that's a meme. It literally is like someone flipped a switch in Jon Stewart's brain, and he went from comedian, outspoken critic of the response to the support given to 9/11 heroes, to now promoting not temporary solutions to dealing with children that have what is diagnosed in the DSM-5 as gender dysphoria. Just like a switch went off in his head. He went from making sure the first responders in 9/11 got not just the respect, not just the treatment they deserved, but what they were entitled to for their heroism. And flip a switch, the stuff you're going to hear coming out of his mouth is beyond verbal diarrhea. There's a story, which we're going to go over now because it definitely relates to what's coming to Canada, in Belgium. A woman who survived a terrorist attack, I'll get the dates properly afterwards, but euthanized by the state because she could no longer live with her mental anguish. 23 years old. Someone suffering from mental illness, mental issues, euthanized by the state. Some say that when you can't consent to certain things, your consent is vitiated. Others might say the state euthanizing someone who seemingly by definition, but at the very least by the details, could not consent. Some might say that's not euthanasia, that's state-sanctioned murder. Then we got Jon Stewart. Oh, and then we got that terrible, terrible vaccine story, which, sorry, we don't know that it's a vaccine story. Just politicians out pushing the jab while other stuff is going on. Okay, let's start with the euthanasia. Euthanasia here. This is going to be also, it's going to introduce a lot of people to a new, unless people know of the mental issue. Brussels ISIS bombing survivor. How do I get this to be? Okay, hold on. How do I get rid of the ad? Okay, Brussels ISIS bombing survivor Shanti Decourt, 23, dead by euthanasia. October 8th. What's the date today? This story made the rounds last week. And some people thought it was Canada because if it's not Canada today, it's going to be Canada very soon. Dead by euthanasia. Cause of death, euthanasia. There's a word for that. A young woman who survived. Let me just make sure we're seeing the same thing here. Sorry, peeps. Okay, we're good. A young woman who survived an ISIS bombing chose euthanasia rather than live with the trauma, according to a report. Shanti Decourt was a 17-year-old student traveling with her classmates when ISIS terrorists detonated a bomb. The 2016 blast. Decourt was not physically injured in the attack, but endured years of panic attacks and depression afterward, the Mirror reported. She tried to end her life twice, 2018, 2020, posted regularly on social media about her struggles. And this is Shanti Decourt. It says, J'ai ri et pleuré. I laughed and cried jusqu'au tout dernier jour, just until the last day. J'ai aimé et j'ai eu le droit de ressentir. I loved and I had the right to feel things, to have emotions. Ce qu'était le véritable amour, that which was the true love. Les larmes de l'amour coulaient, the tears of love ran, doucement sur mon visage, gently on my face. Je vais maintenant, partir en paix. I'm now going to leave in peace. Sachez que vous me manquez déjà. Know that I miss you already. And then, by the way, here's another thing that she posted. With all the medications I take, I feel like a ghost that can't feel anything anymore. Maybe there were other solutions than medications. Maybe there were other solutions than medications, she wrote in one post. She chose to be euthanized earlier this year, which is legal in Belgium. She died on May 7 after 2 psychiatrists signed off on her request. And where prosecutors began an investigation into her case after this guy, a neurologist, and the CHU, Academic Clinical Hospital in Brussels, made complaints that the young woman's decision to end her life was made prematurely. Only by 60 to 70 years, depending on lifespan in Belgium. The case was closed after it found no violations had been made in the process for being euthanized. No violations had been made in the process. When you legalize criminality, it's no longer illegal. It's like, they didn't break any rules because we legalized euthanasia for the mentally ill. No, but we were just following the rules, and the rules were followed. Therefore, no crime because we legalized the crime. This is all in my humble opinion, people, just so you know. Not accusing anybody of formal crimes, although other people probably would. The euthanizing of an otherwise healthy young woman, some people would call that state-sanctioned murder. But what's even worse, in the story itself, in the details of the story, by her own admission, by her own statements, she's on medications, she's suffering from depression, she feels like a ghost. Some of you might not have ever heard of this condition. it comes from it can come from physical trauma to the brain, and it can also come from depression. It can come from psychosis, from schizophrenia. It is known as Cotard delusion or Cotard. We see this? Sometimes people who suffer tremendous loss, the loss of a child, the loss of a loved one, I won't say claim, they suffer from this. It triggers this condition. Cotard's delusion. Let me just shrink it so we can see the text a little better here. That's better. Also known as walking corpse syndrome or Cotard's syndrome, is a rare mental disorder in which the affected person holds the delusional belief that they are dead, do not exist, are putrefying, I guess that means, okay, rotting, or have lost their blood or internal organs. Statistical analysis of a 100-patient cohort indicated that denial of self-existence is present in 45% of the cases of Cotard syndrome. In the other 55%, the patients presented with delusions of immortality. In 1880, Jules de Cotard described the condition as le délire de négation, the delirium of negation, a psychiatric syndrome of varied severity. A mild case characterized by despair and self-loathing, while severe cases characterized by intense delusions of negation or chronic psychiatric depression. Signs and symptoms. Delusions of negation are the central symptom of Cotard syndrome. The patient usually denies their own existence, the existence of body parts, yada, yada. I don't know if when she says she felt like a ghost, I can only, what's the word when you are, when you can feel someone else's pain? People, what's the word? I'm going to miss it. Empathetic. Through empathy, I can only imagine what she was feeling, which says she feels like a ghost. I can understand how someone who went through that psychological trauma, totally detached, suffering from depression, on medications, and then consents at the age of 23 to being euthanized by the state. There are some people who would say, by definition, someone who's mentally ill cannot enter into contracts, cannot agree to certain things, cannot consent to the ultimate decision. And this seems to be like one of those cases. And in Canada, for those of you who don't know, I got shocked and appalled when I found out what was going on in Canada as relates to medically assisted suicide. They call it medical assistance in death in Canada, MAIDs. In 2021, you all know this if you've been following for some period of time. In 2021, Canada euthanized 10,064 Canadians. Euthanized, put an end to the life, the state, through its procedures, 10,000 Canadians. It represented over 3% of the total death in Canada in 2021. In Canada. And that is before the proposed amendment is going to take effect, which was, what did they say? It was called sunset. There was a provision that excluded medical assistance in dying. It excluded the mentally ill from availability to medical assistance in dying for obvious reasons. Although it's arguable whether or not they're even allowing it right now. It excluded it for obvious reasons, but then, they had a debate in the Senate, in the government, and they said, well, we can't exclude the mentally ill from being able to kill themselves with the assistance of the state, because that would be discrimination. Our members of parliament sat around and proposed an amendment that says we're only going to exclude the mentally ill from the application of medical assistance in dying for 18 months or something from the enactment of the law. And so that provision has a sunset where it will no longer apply as of, I think, this year, next year. I don't know the exact date. They actually sat around and said, if we exclude the mentally ill from being able to request and obtain medical assistance in dying, that would be discriminatory. So this is coming to Canada. And now we've seen concrete evidence, a hard case, unless there's some radically different details that we don't know or misinformation, a 23-year-old physically healthy woman suffering from depression, taking a lot of medications, it would seem, euthanized. There's no limit. There's no limit. And it'll go from the mentally ill, and they say, well, we can't not allow mentally ill children to do this. Oh no, of course not. We wouldn't go there. That would be a bridge too far. And by the way, no thanks. This is global news. How poverty, not pain, is driving Canadians with disabilities to consider medically assisted death. This was one in Canada where a veterans helpline, this is not the story here, but we've talked about it before, recommended it to a veteran calling in for help with PTSD. Hey, you ever thought about killing yourself? You ever thought about medical assistance in dying? You got a bad case of PTSD. I've heard stories, which I can't, I won't get in there. When there's a financial incentive for the state to fast track, green light, and alleviate the burdens on the healthcare system, one can foresee the corruption relatively easily. And I just pulled up a couple of articles a while back. Yeah, this won't cost the healthcare system any money, guys. Don't worry. Euthanizing people won't cost the system anymore. It might actually save some money. What's that? The healthcare system's so overloaded we have to lock everyone down to flatten the curve? It would free up a lot of space, save the government a lot of money if we just let people start to kill themselves willy-nilly and throw in there mental illness, which by definition affects one's ability to make certain decisions. Oh, but I'm sure they'll follow all the protocol. Hello, you've reached the Provincial Health Services Authority telephone line for medical assistance in dying. This is the automated recording Joni Cowie got when she called the government to see if she would be eligible for Medicare assistance in dying, known as MAID. It's an unmistakable message from the government. If you want to end your life, we'll help you. I'm good for global news. When it becomes unpopular, when it becomes popular to criticize the government, then they'll get on the bandwagon. When it's something so shocking and so egregious, 10,000 deaths through euthanasia in Canada in 2021, okay, maybe global news will start to cover it. Oh, Cowie certainly meets the medical. Okay, if you can call the number on the government website, they will provide doctors that will sign off for you, says the 52-year-old resident of Windsor, Ontario. They can have me dead in 90 days. That's what I was told. One woman was euthanized in Canada because she had a severe chemical sensitivity, also known as an allergy, and couldn't find housing to accommodate her. MAID. Enacted in 26, MAID legislation required that death be reasonably foreseeable. However, based on subsequent legal challenges, the legislation was ruled unconstitutional and the rules were changed. Starting last year, anyone who has a serious and incurable illness, disease, or disability that is irreversible with enduring and intolerable suffering became eligible. But critics say the government's quick expansion of MAID and insistence that it's a compassionate thing to do misses an important factor. A massive number of Canadians with disabilities like Cowie are trapped in an excruciating cycle of poverty. This goes on. I'll clip it. It's stating the obvious for anybody who didn't already know it. It's the obvious. And we're gonna see mercy killings. It's the compassionate thing to do. There are people out there. Hold on, sorry. There are people out there who are downtrodden, and I've heard concrete stories of people like, I need other help. Why are you pressuring this on me? Hold on, I can't do this. Pin the comment. I forgot to pin the message. There we go. Yes, Mark says, please pin the Rumble. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. Message pinned. Okay, done. Because we're going to move over there in a few seconds now. Here's the link to Rumble. Oh, yeah. You know what? Oh, yeah, there we've been demonetized. Anyhow, it doesn't matter. It's only going to affect visibility, viewability. Global news is starting to call out the government on this god-awful MAIDs policy. But, big tech doesn't want you. Anyhow, whatever. Set that aside. That's what's going on. Belgium, Canada. And we're seeing now how what people said was hyperbolic fear-mongering becomes reality, and then the Overton window shifts a little bit, and now it becomes a justification. Well, it's her decision. It's her decision. So who are we to interfere? So let's facilitate. The maids who couldn't find an apartment. Yep, Bucklebrush Jones. That was it. She couldn't find an apartment, and chose it, and was granted it for chemical sensitivity, aka allergy. How do they know this raft of medications did not facilitate her decline over time? It sounds like they helped separate her from herself. I saw a couple of chats, which I brought up here, talks about the risks of some of these medications. Mind fog, mind numbing. Psychiatric medications numb if you aren't chemically imbalanced. Yeah, it's atrocious. Better days are ahead or not. I choose to say yes, but you have to get through the days and you have to get through the people who do, not everyone is as, people are distracted with their own lives. And I say that in a non-judgmental way. People are distracted with their own lives. Life is hard enough as it is. And, it's not of interest to you until it hits closer to home. Okay. There was one super chat, which I want to try to get before moving over. And I've got to do the ad read of the day. You all noticed the paid, I hope you saw the paid promotional thing, because I want to make sure that I put it in there. Customization. Hold on. I'm absolutely neurotic about being overtly ethical. This stream contains paid promotion product placement. Yes, I put it in and I clipped it. I highlighted it so I can do it. That was it. It was this one here. James Knoll. Viva, in the rush hour, I can dig it. Just need you on AM radio next. I could do radio. I don't think anybody listens to radio, but what do I know? All right, before we move over to Rumble, I'm going to thank my sponsors for having the cojones, the audacity, the courage to sponsor a channel like mine, which I don't think should take much courage. But in today's day and age, speaking truth is a revolutionary act, and sponsoring the channel of someone who I think I speak the truth. And if someone doesn't think I speak the truth, let me know, and I will assess. Home lock. Oh geez, I just screwed it up. Am I an absolute buffoon? HomeTitleLock.com. What the heck is my problem? HomeTitleLock.com. For anyone in the States, this is only for the States because I don't think it operates up in Canada. Something I did not know about coming down here. In Canada, there's a lot of there's fraud, identity theft, yada yada. In the States, apparently home theft. It's like they go and pull up your deed, your quitclaim deed from the local registry. Forge a document and borrow money against your house. That's the type of fraud. I didn't know that it existed here. I called up my insurance company to make sure that this is a legit form of fraud that I have to worry about and protect against. And my insurance guy said, it is, and you should. And I go with HomeTitleLock.com. I mean, I literally use it. So personally use it. HomeTitleLock.com. It's like $20 a month. And what happens, the way it works, if someone tries to pull your deed to fraudulently borrow against the equity that you might have in your property, once the deed is pulled, you'll get a notification and they'll freeze the account of sorts so that nobody can borrow money against it. So for $20 a month, I think it's certainly, hold on, I'm going to go to the website, HomeTitleLock.com/Viva. And I'm going to bring it up so you can see my beautiful face on Home Title Lock. And it's a real type of fraud. Some people say, there's other ways to protect against it, but for the $20 a month for what is arguably, but not arguably, most people's biggest asset, to make sure that nobody borrows against it, and then you wake up one day with someone saying, hey, you borrowed $40,000 or $50,000 against your house, pay up. It's good. Thus far, I have not had to use it, which is exactly the way I intend to keep it. So that's it. Home Title Lock /Viva, $20 a month, worth it. Now we shall. By the way, everybody, I'm wearing a black shirt. You cannot see how much I'm sweating. I am sweat. I can feel it dripping down. I don't know why. I should probably just turn. That picture is 5 years. If that picture's not 5 years old, that picture. Hold on. Let's bring that back up. That picture is. I know when I took that picture. I took that picture when I ran for office. Hold on. Let me bring that up. I took this picture when I ran for office for the radical far-right People's Party of Canada. So that picture is from September, give or take 2021. Oh yeah, what a difference a year makes. Oh yeah, that's it's funny. That's the gauge. That picture was from, no, it wasn't September. It was probably August when I started running. When the campaign started in August, I took that picture by my house. My wife snapped it with an iPhone, and that became the campaign picture. Okay, parentheses closed. And we'll bring that out. All right, and then there was a super chat that came in at the same time, which I want to bring up. Where did it go? What in the what? Wait, it's right here. Okay. It's been over 6 months since we've had It's been over 6 months since we've had troops in Ukraine. When will Congress declare war? I wouldn't want to be a politician at this point in time, but I look younger with the hair. I feel younger with the hair as well. Okay, that's it. We're winding it up on YouTube, everybody. You got the link. Let us go to the Rumbles in 3, 2, 1. Now, I think we're alone now. This is some of the fine Viva Fry merch, but all right. So that's it. I mean, it's an absolute nauseating story, and there's no way around it. It's nauseating. And you know, the city of God. The first time is the rule. The second time is the exception. The third time, the exception becomes the rule. Oh, it's going to be a rigorous process deciding who gets to end their life, and then it's not such a rigorous process anymore. All right, Jon Stewart, the useful idiot, or the destructive idiot. P. Moyer on Rumble Rant says, "Who is that guy in the home title lock ad? Looks vaguely familiar." Oh, that was Viva back in the day. Jon Stewart. There are useful idiots. And then there are useless idiots. Those are the ones who can't even be useful idiots. And then there are destructive idiots. Idiots who use their skill to destroy. They use their charm. And I'm saying this with full confession through projection, people. I know there's going to be people who hate me out there saying Viva uses his wit and his charm to destroy. No, I disagree with that. But Jon Stewart, charismatic, speaks well. Some would argue is now not a useless idiot, not a useful idiot, a destructive idiot. And we're going to watch we're not going to watch the whole thing because it's going to make you puke. Let me see he did 2 interviews recently. He has now decided to become an advocate for transgender issues for children. This is not for adults. He's now advocating for transition therapy for children. And he seems to have engaged in the tactics of like Michael Moore, Sacha Baron Cohen type gotcha, highly edited interviews mixed with, but no, under the veneer of legitimate journalism. Let's watch this with a little commentary. Let's see this here. Yes. Okay, we're seeing it. Let's play this.
Why?
13.6 million views. I don't know if that's, artificially amplified, but whatever. We're going to walk through this, then we're going to walk through the next one.
Why would the state of Arkansas step in to override parents, physicians, psychiatrists,
appeal to authority,
endocrinologists who have developed guidelines? Why would you override those guidelines?
Guidelines for transition therapy for minors, for children.
Well, I think it's important that all of those physicians...
By the way, everyone has to appreciate all of the editing that's going on here. This is Katie Couric level editing. Look here.
Of Arkansas step in to override parents.
By the way, there is nothing to say. I don't know that these are 2 simultaneous cameras in real time. I don't know that. There's nothing to say that this video of her sitting there looking dumbfounded, a little bit uncomfortable, is totally a totally separate video section of the interview that they then overlay the audio in for editing, stylistic impression purposes.
Physicians, psychiatrists, endocrinologists who have developed guidelines. Why would you override those guidelines?
Well, I think it's important that all of those physicians, all of those experts, for every single one of them, there's an expert that says we don't need to allow children to be able to take those medications. That there are.
I'll give John this. She's probably not the most eloquent spokesperson to present the other side of the debate. Jon Stewart, appeal to authority. There's experts. The experts, the same ones who have done other things which are, not unbecoming of experts. We have experts. They say we've set out a protocol. My question to him would have been, what's the protocol? What are the? Because I've heard stories. I interviewed Chloe Cole. Jon Stewart, I know what I know and I know what I don't know. You seem like a smart man. What's the protocol? Because I interviewed a woman who was given a full mastectomy at age 15. What is the protocol to determine when a child can permanently, irreparably, I'll avoid the hyperbolic term, alter their body? When is it? And John, here's another question. Why can't children get tattoos and drink alcohol? If someone says that's necessary for their psychological well-being, let's just.
Are many instances where.
But that's not true.
Oh.
It's not for everyone. There's one. There's.
Oh, I'm sorry. It might actually be, but that's not true. I mean, that's when you're dealing with a liar. You're dealing with a liar when that's his response to your sincere response.
That there are many instances where.
But that's not true. It's not for everyone. There's one. These are the established.
Well, I don't know that's not.
I might venture a guess and say that, for everyone, there isn't one. For everyone that says this is an acceptable method of treatment, there are probably 10 that say it's not. I don't know. But I don't know that it's wrong. And if he's going to say that, John, okay. You think that there are more doctors promoting transition therapy on children than doctors saying it should never be done and it should be waited until the child grows out of puberty and becomes an adult to make the decisions on their own? Oh, but that's not true. Oh, okay, sorry. You just accused me of lying to you in an interview. This should be going well, going forward.
True. I don't know that.
Then why would you pass a law then if you don't know that that's true? Wouldn't you?
Well, I know that there are doctors and that we had plenty of people come and testify before our legislature who said that, we have 98% of the young people who have gender dysphoria that they are able
he's listening to
move past that. And once they have the help that they need, no longer suffer from gender dysphoria. 98% without that medical treatment.
That's an incredibly made up figure.
I mean, that's where the interview ends. There's no other word. It's scumbaggery. Oh, that's an incredibly made up figure. No, I looked online afterwards to see. There are any varying number of figures, but there seems to be one widely referenced one, which said 84% of children who at one point suffer from gender dysphoria grow out of it. And then I see people commenting, oh, well, that study's flawed because they didn't count. They count. It was too broadly counted. They only asked certain questions. They excluded other people. This is where you get into the world where three types of lies: damn lies, and statistics. 98%. But that counts too many people. That just counts sexual. Can't even think of it. That includes people who just said it willy-nilly. That includes kids who weren't serious about it, kids who didn't go to therapy. So if you only count the people who went to therapy, then it's not 98% who grew out of gender dysphoria. But you'll never be able to agree on the numbers because there's always a way to wordsmith, nitpick, finagle your way out of one number. 84%. Oh, there were problems with that. They asked too many people. They asked people who weren't really in therapy. They asked you, so of course it's going to be too many. But then there's still 16% that didn't grow out of it. What's the solution there? If they're children. But once he says, well, that's an incredibly made up number. Why don't you just call her a liar and see where that goes?
That doesn't comport with any of the studies or documentation that exists from these medical organizations. What medical association are you talking about?
Hey, John, you just made a statement. What medical associations are you talking about? It doesn't comport with any. Oh, it comports with some, but then you're right. I can't watch any more of this. This is not the one that we're supposed to talk about today anyhow. Oh, it doesn't comport. What an incredibly made up number. No, it's not. You just don't agree with that one because that doctor, who's the one doctor who disagrees with the other doctor, well, you'll find a way to write that doctor off. He's taken a proactive position now to publicly support and endorse transition therapy for children, for minors. promoting the same nonsensical, factually incorrect statement that things are pauses, things are reversible, yada yada. But that's not it. That's just one indication that Jon has had the switch flipped in his brain. He's gotten the directive. This is where his charisma, this is where his interviewing skills are going to go right now, to this issue. The man who went from making sure that the heroes of 9/11 got the treatments they needed, the treatments they deserved, the compensation they deserved. Now he's so now he's promoting transition therapy for children because his doctors, they all say it. There's a protocol. There's the same protocol that was in place for euthanasia. And the protocol is being followed. So when they give a double mastectomy to a 15-year-old girl, it's reversible. We can build that back afterwards. And yeah, but that wasn't the point. The point is now Jon has now gone, I guess the word is full woke. He's decided to make this his political warpath. And it gets worse. It gets worse. Here, look at this. So from transition therapy for children to, I don't know what a woman is anymore. Jon Stewart, hold on, pause. And this is like, this goes to show you that useless idiot, useful idiot, destructive idiot. Sorry, hold on, I didn't.
We are in a new
No, not yet, Jon. Not yet, Jon. We haven't read your words of genius. Jon, the old expression, you die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Well, Jon has literally taken this to another level. It's you either die a hero or live long enough to become the problem. Because Jon's new show is called The Problem, and who would have thunk that Jon has become the problem? What is a woman? It's a question that's suddenly everywhere. And it turns out the answer is complicated. There's no alcohol in this, but there may as well be. Jon breaks down the gender binary and gender spectrum in this week's episode. Stream the free episode now at Apple TV+. No, thank you. Oh, no, thank you. But you see, baked into the question is the confusion. What is a woman? Biology. Jon breaks down gender, which is, I know some people say gender is biology. It's the correlative of biology. I'll accept the argument that gender is not biology. Gender is more orientation and preferences, whereas what is a woman is biology. What is it to be a woman is philosophy. But it's a complicated question, what a woman is. And so we're going to confuse the issue by now just subtly taking the question from biology, what is a woman, to philosophy, ideology of gender. Because we agree, I can accept the idea that gender is different from sex. Gender are attributes. Sex is biology. You know, what are the gender traits of certain sexes? Well, that's where the discussion is. And the irony is that for the side of the political aisle of the discussion that says gender is a social construct, what does it mean to be a woman? I don't know. That's why I have to change my body and my physical appearance in order to be one. That's why I have to basically physically embody some of the most regressive stereotypes in order to be that which I say is a social construct. There's a certain paradox in there that's just, you can't bend your mind around. What is a woman? Jon breaks down gender. Listen to this.
We are in a new dawn of gender and sex complexity.
Look at his hand, by the way. I may be projecting. I may be reading something in that is not there. Just look only at his hands.
Dawn of gender and
that is
sex
manic
complexity,
discomfort.
where those who don't fit into a simple binary are meant to be seen with humanity. It wasn't always like this, people. As recently as, let's say, the 1990s, early 2000s, people were making shitty, reductive jokes about the subject.
Shitty, reductive. He looks like, it's a terrible thing. He looks like a shell of himself. Yeah. The funny thing is, like the not the dominating, but the invading force has to destroy all relics of the past. Jon now, in his destruction of the relics of the past, actually has to go destroy himself of the past in order to disassociate himself from that. He has got, apology is not enough now, by the way. He can't just apologize for those jokes. He has to destroy what he was because it is now incongruous, politically, socially incompatible with the message he is now deciding to promote, which is, what's a woman? What is a woman?
What can I say? The joke rhymed.
It's not funny. None of this is funny.
Shitty and reductive jokes are kind of my brand. But as we know from history, any moment of progressive visibility will be met with a vicious backlash.
There are two genders.
There are two genders, and everyone knows it.
Ain't but two genders.
It's funny. It goes on, but I want to get to the biblical part. Oh, here. Hold on.
Is a woman.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
For all of recorded history, people have known what a woman is.
Yes! All of recorded history! It was simple. Until like a year ago. The answer to what is a woman has always been the same. It's a woman is a deformity that occurred in the ordinary course of nature.
It's so fun. Wait, get to the next one. Get to the next one.
A woman is a person who has no legal existence once married.
He does not appreciate, I'm going to stop it right there. If anybody wants to go watch it, go watch it. He doesn't appreciate that he's actually disproving his own point. And he is currently embodying the very same misogyny that women fought against in order to fight for equal rights. Back in the day, they knew what a woman was because they had to identify what a woman was in order to subject that woman to fewer rights than men. They knew what a woman was, John, back in the day when women did not have the same rights as men. They knew it because they had to distinguish between the two so they could treat women unequally. Or he then goes into the Bible and starts talking about how women have different value, referring to the value of shekels, or if they're, what was the word? If they're promiscuous women, they're worth less. He doesn't understand, or he's just, in the moment, doesn't understand that by referencing the era back when women didn't have equal rights as men, they knew the difference between a man and a woman. That's how they treated women unequally. And that's what women fought against in order to fight for equal treatment. And now, in today's day and age, so progressive, a man cannot say what a woman is anymore. If a man denying the existence of a woman is not misogyny, I don't know what is. But good example, John. Back in the day when women did not have equal rights, it's not because they couldn't identify what a woman was. It's because they could easily identify what a woman was. That hasn't changed. Oh, the only thing that's changed are the rights to which that different sex, not gender, are entitled. Equal rights. Up until the time when we can no longer say what a woman is, and therefore biological men can now compete in biological women's sports, and the rights that biological women fought for from a day when they were not equal, well, they've been denied that right yet again in the name of progress, in the name of progressive politics. Crometta says women have always had more rights than men, immune to conscription, entitled to support. Okay. That's the way to flip it. If you don't have the right to vote or the right to own property, and some would say the right to fight is a right to defend the homeland. But anyway, that's from Crometta 12. Women have always had more rights than men, immune to conscription, entitled to support. From the Rumble Rants. John is an idiot. I don't know what a woman is. I tweeted the clip from Kindergarten Cop. Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. And then you're going to have people say, oh, well, there's anomalies of biological females who are born with male parts or people born with both parts, as though the biological infinitesimal, it's not even an exception, but subject to a medical condition, then fuzzies the basic debate as to what's a man, what's a woman. The question is not what is a man, what is a woman. We have chromosomes to determine that and body parts to determine that. The question that is actually being asked is philosophically, what does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a man? And that's where this entire discussion is coming to a fore, confounding the two. What does it mean to be a woman? I don't know. What does it mean to be a man? I don't know. I'm sometimes called a beta male. I don't know what comes after. A Charlie male? I don't think I've ever been called a Charlie male. But the idea that we don't even know what it means to be a woman, and yet we're using that as the basis to promote transition therapy among children. I don't know what it means to be a woman. I just know that I need to physically alter my body. And if you're up in, what is that high school called? Trafalgar in Oakville, Ontario. I don't know what it means to be a woman, so I'm just going to slap on massive prosthetic breasts as part of my transition identity. And I defy any of you to tell me that it's inappropriate, because it's how I express my gender identity. Anyhow, all that to say, Jon Stewart has become an idiot. And playing the Zenonian paradox on what it means to be a woman makes you the philosophical troll of the Greeks, and it makes you the political troll of the modern era. You know, the Zeno's paradox, an object in flight is always at rest. Oh, well, the arrow, it's in flight, it's going, to its target, but at this point in time, it only occupies this space. So how does it get from here to here if it can only occupy the space it occupies at any given point in time? An arrow in flight is always at rest. Well, that's great, but I just saw the arrow hit the bullseye. Or the other one, you can never get from point A to point B, because in order to do that, you first need to get halfway there. And before you need to do that, you need to get halfway there. And because there's infinitesimally small parts, well, you can never get from point A to point B, because in order to do so, you have to get through infinitely many halfway points, midway points. Well, that's great, Zeno, but I just saw the tortoise cross the line. So it's good. It's philosophical musings. What is a woman? Oh, well, a woman is someone who lactates, who has breasts, a vagina, and a womb. Oh, well, there's some women who have had mastectomies. Are they not women? No, because they had breasts at one point. Oh, well, there's some that are born without them. There's some that are born with male parts. Okay, there's medical anomalies that might make for a new rule and not overriding the general rule. Someone feels like a woman. Now we're into gender, and not what it means to be a woman, but rather what it means to be a woman in the philosophical sense. Anyhow, so that's it. Always a good excuse to go back to Greek philosophy. Zeno's paradox. There's a bunch of them, but we're playing the game of Zeno's paradox with real life consequences because it is effectively, in real time, undermining the very rights that biological women fought for back in the day when they weren't allowed to own property or vote. John, thank you for bringing that up. All right. That's it for Jon Stewart being an idiot. At least for today. What was the other story that we had? This one is another one that's going to make you upset. Last week, there was the story. It's an older story because it's a congressman whose 17-year-old daughter died in June from cardiac arrhythmia. Let's pull up the story. This story is from today.com. The original story I tweeted was from Fox News. This one's even worse for reasons that you're going to see. And I'm going to say this. The only people that need to hear this are malicious, ideologically malicious, and intellectually dishonest in the first place. This is not about Schadenfreude. This is not. Some people might go that angle. I don't. This is the most upsetting thing one can imagine. The loss of one's child is it's the type of trauma that in some cases actually triggers the delusion of feeling dead in one's own body. I remember I got an exchange on Twitter, and I just went to the profile of the person before hitting send, and the person's profile was described as I lost my only child. I am not alive. I am just in this body until we meet again. And I said, I'm not going to engage in a discussion, in a debate, because Twitter's not a nice place. And that was the most heartbreaking thing I've ever read. So there's no Schadenfreude here. There's no political gotcha, period. The reason why this is important is so that nobody else has to go through this soul-crushing, life-altering tragedy. To the extent we can find out what the cause is, because we live in a day now when we don't know what a woman is. How do we know what the consequences of medical procedures are? How do we correlate the two? Could have been anything. Hold on, I took the article out. Could have been anything. What's a woman? What's an adverse effect? How do you know it came from that? It could have come from global warming. Could have come from climate change. Illinois congressman reveals teen daughter's cause of death. Kasten's teenage daughter Gwen died unexpectedly at age 17 in June. At the time, no cause of death was revealed. The 17-year-old daughter of Representative of Illinois Rep. Sean Kasten died unexpectedly in her sleep from a sudden cardiac arrhythmia in June 2022. It's the stuff of nightmares that Illinois Rep. They revealed the cause of death at age 17. They issued a lengthy statement of his official social media accounts more than 3 months after his daughter's death. In the statement, the family shared the teen's cause of death was sudden cardiac arrhythmia. In layman's terms, she was fine, and then her heart stopped. The statement read in part, "We don't know what caused the arrhythmia and likely never will." The family described Gwen as a healthy 2022 teenager, explaining she ate well, exercised, got regular checkups, didn't suffer from any behavioral health issues, and had a close relationship with family and friends. They noted Gwen was fully vaccinated and was asymptomatic after occasional positive COVID-19 tests amid the surge of the Omicron variant. And it goes on, and it is what it is. It is what you think it is. Who knows? She died. 17 years old, heart arrhythmia. It might be the most horrific coincidence. It might be unrelated, or, we might be seeing a little too much of this these days. And, it's, again, this is not Schadenfreude. This is policy. This is making sure that if this happens to be correlated, and the Florida Surgeon General recently just made an announcement that they're noticing a correlation of 18 to 39-year-olds, which is why they're no longer recommending it. Oh, but that study's flawed also, according to anybody who doesn't want to believe it. This is not Schadenfreude. This is making sure it never happens again to somebody else. When I first saw the story, you just start putting two and two together. You start not connecting dots. You just start noticing a lot of these dots. I mean, I've been sharing the stories whenever they're just anomalies. 17-year-old dies of arrhythmia. Oh, doctors are urging people to go check their hearts, young people, because of SADS, sudden adult death syndrome. I did not know that this congressman in May 17, 2021, had an entire thread. In case you missed it, all Illinoisans 12 years and older are eligible for the vaccine. They are safe, effective, and key to our path back to normalcy. Everyone in my family, including my 14-year-old daughter, has started their vaccination process. Here's how you get yours. Some people were saying, oh, how does she go from 14 in 2021 to 17 in 2022? I believe he has two daughters, or I believe he had two daughters. This is the message coming from a politician: safe, effective, and a key to our path back to normalcy. And then a year later, his 17-year-old daughter, fully vaccinated, dies suddenly in her sleep of heart arrhythmia. And you're going to get the people that are going to say, how do you know it's correlated? Well, you don't. I don't know if they're doing an autopsy. You don't, and you may never will. But at some point in time, you're either blind, willfully blind, or dishonest to say, we're seeing a lot of this these days. We're seeing so much of this that actuaries are lamenting payouts for working age deaths 40 some odd percent more. What did let me see if I can get the Surgeon General's of Florida tweet. I mean, at some point you're shutting your eyes, and at some point it also becomes something of a conflict, where an individual might have been pushing policy that might have had negative impacts, and to admit it now would be to incriminate the policy and the acts of the past. And I said, if this doesn't start a national conversation with the people who with the prospect of civil and criminal liability for those responsible for the atrocity, we officially will have reverted to sacrificing children to the altar of the volcano. My soul hurts and my brain hurts, and it does. Florida, what do they call them? Surgeon General, not qualifications, tweet. Oh, yeah. Twitter blocks and restores. Twitter blocks and then restores COVID-19 vaccination post from the Florida's Surgeon General. Twitter is blocking a post from the Surgeon General. Some might say that that's practicing medicine without a license. Twitter. That was way more than I thought was left in the glass. Sorry. Some might consider that practicing medicine without a license. Some might consider that to be even worse, in that one is censoring the medical advice, the medical recommendation of the freaking Surgeon General of Florida. Well, but Twitter just blocks it because they are the arbiters of truth. They are the censors of dissident, and they are the doctors for all. Twitter blocked and then restored a post from Florida Surgeon General Joe Lopado. Oh, but people, he's crazy. Don't listen to him. His studies are all wrong. That was promoting an analysis claiming a high incidence of cardiac-related deaths among men who take the mRNA vaccine, COVID-19 vaccine. Lopado, who posted the tweet Friday, had also recommended men aged 18 to 39 should not receive the mRNA vaccine. Lopado is an outspoken skeptic of COVID-19 vaccines. Oh, he's a skeptic if he notices that they are killing people. Or not killing, sorry, let me rephrase. He's a skeptic if he's noticing a correlation between the mass administration of the vaccine and cardiac-related deaths among... He's a skeptic. You freaking hacks at the Politico. Oh, he's a skeptic. Or he's a realist. Or, just trying this out on for size, he's a doctor. Or that, just, that small thing. Or he knows what he's talking about and he knows how to analyze statistics. Oh, yeah. Outspoken critic. Lopado's an outspoken yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. The effectiveness and safety. Well, yeah, nothing like increase cardiac-related deaths of men aged 18 to 39 to really cause you to question their safety. They might be effective, which we know that they're effective, not at preventing contracting or transmitting the virus, potentially at reducing severity of symptoms, potentially. But they come with that mild potential risk of increased heart attacks among men aged 18 to 39. Our current misleading information policies cover synthetic and manipulated media, COVID-19, and civic integrity, Twitter stated in its post that blocked Lopado's tweet. If we determine that a tweet contains misleading or disputed information now, per our policies that could harm, we may label the content, yada, yada, yada. Twitter restored the post in the morning. Where's the actual post? Yada, yada, yada. Bada bing, bada boom. Where's the actual tweet? Let me just get the tweet. Lopado? Come on, dude. Give me this. Well, let's go. I guess we'll go to the website here. Yeah, this was the message that was posted. October 7th, that's right. From the Florida Health, from the Surgeon General of Florida. State Surgeon General Dr. Joseph A. Lopado issues new mRNA COVID-19 vaccine guidance. Twitter blocked the guidance of a doctor. Today, State Surgeon Joseph Lopado announced new guidance regarding mRNA vaccines, the Florida Department of Health, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fine. The analysis found that there is an 84% increase in the relative incidence of cardiac-related death among males 18 to 39 old within 28 days following mRNA vaccination. With a high level of global immunity to COVID-19, the benefit of vaccination is likely outweighed by this abnormally high risk of cardiac-related death among men in this age group. Non-mRNA vaccines were not found to have these increased risks. This makes me very angry. This makes me angry just because some of you don't judge me for it. Some of you do judge me for it. I got both shots over a year ago. I'm still here. I'm still able to perform exercise. I mean, I think I'm past the point of certain concerns. I'm a neurotic hypochondriac, so I will never be past the point of all concerns. But it makes me angry. It makes me angry because I genuinely feel like I took a short-term risk at the time that I was genuinely not aware of, to the extent that anyone had the numbers back then, and I suspect they did. And I'm concerned long-term as well. Call me now I'm a skeptic. Sure as hell won't get the booster, hell or high water. I won't. But the same week that it's revealed that the congressman's daughter died from cardiac arrhythmia at age 17. Oh, she's not a boy, so it couldn't have been that. I mean, because that's a hard and fast rule. If it's only for men. The same week that happens, I shut down my Twitter feed. Hold on. You get other politicians out there pushing the jab. It's a therapeutic at best, according to Dr. Kieran Moore. It's a therapeutic that doesn't prevent you from contracting, transmitting, or carrying the virus. And it's a therapeutic that causes abnormally high risks of cardiac arrest in men aged 18 to 39. All of this is coming out. And you got your politician types pushing. Look at this. Unreal. Politicians are on Twitter pushing the vax. I'm an anti-vaxxer because I'm an old school man. I think that a vaccine, save and except for actual breakthrough anomaly cases, it should stop you from getting the virus. You know, like rabies I think it's 100% effective against the rabies vaccine is 100% effective against rabies, give or take. Maybe within a certain time frame. Tetanus, pretty close to 100. I suspect there might be an actual outbreak. Not outbreak, sorry. What's the word I'm looking for? Breakthrough case of someone who got the tetanus shot but still got tetanus. Polio? I don't know. If the vaccine does not prevent contracting or transmitting the virus, then I tend to agree with Dr. Kieran Moore from Ontario. It's probably more therapeutic than an actual vaccine when words had meaning. When woman meant woman and no one had to ask when they were being treated differently under the law, and when vaccine meant vaccine and not when it was changed to mean whatever the hell it means now. Because if the jab is a vaccine, but it doesn't prevent you from carrying, contracting, or transmitting the virus, but it might alleviate your symptoms, why isn't vitamin C a vaccine then? Okay. This is the tweet. They're pushing it. I swore. I probably shouldn't have sworn, but whatever. This is a post. Dan Helmer from Virginia, blue check mark. So I looked at it and I thought, I was like, oh, I found out this is a fake picture. Look at this. In the first picture, it's in his left arm. In the second picture, it's in his right arm. I was like, I'm such a genius. I'm going to call this guy out for being a liar. Oh, then I realized that he's getting 2 shots in one day. Good day as any to get your flu shot and your COVID booster. That was October 8th, the day before yesterday. Then you got... No, that's not the one I wanted. Secretary Deb Haaland. You may remember her from such defamation lawsuits as Nicholas Sandmann. Still hasn't taken down her tweet about Nicholas Sandmann because she got those damn likes and it feels so good to get those likes. So Deb Haaland is already a woman of questionable integrity. I'm going to pull it up afterwards just to show everybody. And just like that, I got my flu shot. Combined with my COVID-19 booster shot, this flu shot will help me stay healthy this winter. Visit vaccines.gov to find a COVID-19 and flu shot in your area. Jack it up. When was this one from? This was from a few days. This might have been a few weeks ago. This is it's a recent. Now the thing is, go get your flu and your COVID booster. In the context of this, it's like, and in the original article, Rep. Caston says, we don't know what caused the arrhythmia, and we may never know. It's a damn mystery, because to face the reality, I can understand would be too much to deal with. Let me see something here. It seems that I just got a message from Well, we're going to add another subject to the list. I just got a DM. Did François Legault steal the election with bribery? Let's have a look at that in a second. Let's go to the chat in Rumble and see what's going on there. There's a Rumble rant from Just Revere. When Rumble allows me to highlight comments the way I'm able to do on YouTube if it ever happens through StreamYard, that'll be my happy day with Rumble. Let's see this. Breaking news. Tetanus shot does not stop the transmission of tetanus. And in order to get the vax, you must also get diphtheria and acellular pertussis, which also does not stop the transmission. This is from Just Revere. But Just Revere, tetanus is an infection that you get from soil. How would that be transmittable human to human? Okay, again, not to play doctor. Tetanus is an infection that you get from soil. I always thought you got it from rusty metal, but apparently it's actually like a bacteria in the soil. So when I was out metal detecting one day, I cut my finger on a pull tab, and then I was like, I'm going to get tetanus. I'm going to die. I better get to a hospital ASAP to get the tetanus shot. So it prevents you from getting tetanus. I don't know how one transmits tetanus from person to person. Now, as for the rest of that, I don't know what the hell those things are, but all that to say, a vaccine that's been around for at least a few decades, not a year with 30 days trial that doesn't. I'll have less of a problem with something that's been around for decades. You know, Florida, for those of you who don't know, they have pretty strict vaccine requirements for public schools. They have exemptions, you can get out of it, et cetera, but they have requirements. This policy has been in place for a long time, where if there were issues with the existing vaccine requirements for public schooling, I would take for granted you would have seen the negative fallout. Like we're seeing with the COVID shot in real time the next year. Oh, who would have thought that you can't rush things like safety trials? Now, it's from a Substack, this article about François Legault. Let me see if not that I'm nervous about Substacks. Let's stop the stream here. Give me 30 seconds to just vet something here. This is a Substack of Dan Fournier, who I don't know. Let me see if I can't find anything. Did Legault violate laws, bribery? Let's see if there's anything in MSM. Okay, I'll have to read the article before I share it, because I don't want to bring up an article that might. I'll have to vet it myself before we do this, and maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. Back to the chat in the Rumbles. There's a $2 super chat which says, "You get it from bacteria C, tetani, and the vax does not stop that. It stops the toxin that the thing produces from wreaking havoc." Okay, that might be a distinction without a difference then, Just Revere, but yeah, touche. All that it does, it prevents you from getting the muscle spasms that can kill you. That's fine. That might be a distinction without a difference, and I'll concede the point to you. But it works, and it's been around for a long time, and it doesn't increase, that I know of, the risk of cardiac arrest in men aged 18 to 39. And as far as I know, it's been administered millions and millions of times. Yeah. Oh, okay. So we had this one on the back burner as well. George Takei. It's not all bad news, and we can have a bit of a laugh, because we're going to have a laugh now. We're going to have a laugh, and then you're going to puke in your mouth a little bit. Sorry, don't read the punchline. Let's read the original tweet. George Takei, who I like to say has the worst Takeis. He's got the worst takes of all time. He's tied there with a number of other people. George Takei, who always seems to have the bad take, because I'm Canadian. What's going on here? This is a real tweet from yesterday. George Takei, blue check mark. This November, elect the party that governs, not the party that trolls. I presume he's saying vote Democrat because they are the party that governs, and don't vote for the party that trolls. I don't know, DeSantis. I don't know what he's talking about in terms of the trolling. That's what I presume he means. It's just too bad that these idiots don't have a memory. So, people, I am sometimes asked, I remember back in the day when I first met Jack Posobiec, and I said, Jack, I talked to him, I was like, how do you always seem to find a tweet that shows the outrageous, rampant hypocrisy of these idiots? And he says, on the one hand, I've got a very smart network of internet sleuths. You know, the community finds things and sends them to us. And it sort of like trickles up to the person with the biggest bullhorn. You got to make sure that what you're amplifying in the bullhorn is accurate. But, you know, there's the social media dude who's got a big account and a bunch of people who follow or subscribe, and they share information because the aggregate knowledge of a group of people is greater than any one individual. So he says, I got that. I got a good memory. And also, this one I figured out on my own. It's a great tactic. Just say to yourself, if you come across a tweet like this, what would make it totally hypocritical? Well, it would make it totally hypocritical if George Takei, hypothetically, either had openly and proudly trolled somebody or complimented someone for a wicked troll. Googled, I put in a few words, and look what I found. Look at what I found, people. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than smart, although sometimes it's good to be both. This is George Takei. Did I put the original tweet in here? George Takei retweeting AOC saying, troll level master. Elon Musk trolled AOC's tweet criticizing his takeover of Twitter. So she trolled him, right? And it says back. And George Takei compliments AOC for being master fire level troller. But remember, people, don't be idiots. Vote for the party that governs. Don't vote for the party that trolls. I mean, the joke writes itself. When you don't have a memory and when you don't have moral or intellectual consistency, you are just a bag floating around in the wind, and you're gonna make mistakes because you have no grounding principles to keep you from making mistakes. Vote for the party. This November, elect the party that governs, not the party that trolls. Oh, by the way, AOC, troll level master. And by the way, for anybody who doesn't, you know, speaking of no moral consistency and no ethics, and everybody complains about Trump, the grab them by the, you know, whatever word. There's another thing about just having a memory. I remember George Takei being on Howard Stern, and I remembered this interview.
All your years involved with, you never hassled anybody or grabbed their car. You never grabbed anybody by.
By the way, I deleted, I censored the word C ampersand CK because I probably should go back to PG-13. I should not swear. I apologize for swearing on Twitter.
All your years involved with, you never hassled anybody or grabbed their car. You never grabbed anybody by. Yeah. Did you ever grab anyone by the cock against their will?
Oh, my.
Oh, no. Well, they were different times.
Or something?
You never sexually harassed anyone.
Hey, boner.
Have you?
Oh, my goodness. You've got such a beautiful... It's some people that are kind of skittish.
Right.
Or maybe... afraid, and you're trying to persuade, but you know,
do we need to call the police?
What is he saying, Howard?
I mean, what do you say to that? What do you say when this is the world in which we live? It's not just no consistency and no standards. I mean, it's like no memory. You would think if you have a dirty past that you've said things that can easily be used against you, you wouldn't then go out and accuse other people, criticize other people, and attempt to cancel other people for having done for having said similar things. It's outrageous. But anyways, that's George Takei. So don't this November, don't elect the party that governs, not the party that trolls. And AOC, good troll. Anyhow, maybe I should go easy on. And then people out there who know of George Takei's other appearances on Howard Stern. You pull up the video where it was October, but it started with a C because that was a thing that Howard Stern did. And there's a video of him touching the genitalia of other men, adult men, consenting adults. That's one thing. His explanation for grabbing people by the expletive. Sometimes they need a little persuasion. Yeah, there's a word for that, George. There's a word for that. All right. Let's see what else. The problem with Jon Stewart. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to Twitter. Twitter, the Viva Fry. So anyways, I hope we feel better about the state of the world right now. The world is in shambles. It has always been this way to some extent. It will always be this way to some extent. Cernovich had a take on Twitter. Let me just bring this out for a second. Cernovich had a take on Twitter. Says there won't be nuclear war because if there's going to be nuclear war, then aliens are going to have to come down and save us, and they don't want to do that. And I think it's obviously a tongue-in-cheek joke. I hope, Cernovich. But I am not. I think the risk of nuclear war is being hyped up. I don't think it's actually there. I think the problem is when you hype up the risk of nuclear war, cataclysmic, world-ending stuff. It's only so that you can, what's the word? Not rationalize, but almost contextualize. Almost teach yourself to accept more death in real time. Well, at least it's not nuclear war, but a lot of innocent people are going to be dying. So I don't think it's going to happen. Cooler heads will prevail at some point in time. At some point in time, people are going to, like happens in all conflict. Enough people are going to die. Enough innocent people are going to die. The problem is when you have people calling the shots who are not suffering any of the consequences of all of this. That's it. So I forget what I was going to say there. So I'm not. It's not a question of losing hope, but at some point you also just serenity now. Lord God, grant me the power to change the things I can. Gosh darn it. God grant me the power to change the things I can, accept the things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. I really mangled that. One day I'll get it. Maybe if ever I get a tattoo, that would be the tattoo. It's an idea. I'm not getting a tattoo, people. I'm not getting a tattoo because I'll be that one guy that gets a brain infection from the tattoo. It's happened. So we're not taking chances there. All right, so we got this. Oh yeah, here's a fun one also. Like you see these things and you're like, oh no, that can't be. PragerU. Do I follow PragerU? I don't know how I stumbled across this. What would America look like if the left got everything they want? No, I did. I don't know if I follow PragerU, but I remember how I saw this now because I follow Nina Turner. Still, I know who she is now. What would the world look like if the left got their way? If the left got everything they wanted? Okay, it would look like this. I don't know who wants the world to look like that in the first place, but I understand what she's getting at by way of the point. It would be a utopian, futuristic hellscape as far as I'm concerned. But it would be clean. It would be beautiful. You'd got apparently there's only one person left on Earth walking a dog, which looks like a Dalmatian, so at least they allow those dogs in the future. This is what Nina Turner thinks the world would look like if the left got everything they wanted. To which I had to respond, so why does San Francisco look like this? And this is not, this, I feel bad. These images are, these are not the way humans should be allowed to live. Just horrendous. Then why does San Francisco look like that, Nina? But in her thread, someone had the same idea. reality. What does this is what reality is when the left gets everything they want. I don't know what city this is in. There are slums in red states and blue states, but there seem to be some chronic problems in big cities in blue states and in big blue cities in red states. But whatever, reality. To which she replies, "This is neoliberalism. Learn the difference." That's neoliberalism, you idiot. That's not liberalism. That's I mean, it's the, let's see where my it's the old no true Scotsman fallacy. Disingenuous wordsmithing is also common to the left. Oh, sorry, I meant neoliberals. Yeah, no, that's neoliberals. That's not liberalism. Okay, how about New York? That's not liberalism. That's neoliberal. Okay, how about Los Angeles? That's not neoliberalism either. When it doesn't work, it's not that which doesn't work. And I have yet to. Oh, what was the other one? I saw one in Pittsburgh. I mean, the images you see are just humans are not. It's degrading and dehumanizing conditions for humans to live in. But policymakers can send billions upon billions of dollars to finance foreign conflict, but they can't provide housing for their own citizens. Okay. Time is it's 1:36. Okay, we did that. Oh, hold on. We'll get. No, you know what? Twitter seems to have found a way to not allow people to navigate when they're not logged in. Let's go to the chat and just see if there's anything in there. No true Scotsman. What the F? Kenzie67. Counter Moon says, well, they say it wasn't really Marxism. Maybe some truth to that, but no, yeah, that wasn't socialism. That wasn't true communism. True communism is ideal because some people are not inherently greedy. Some people are not inherently criminals. Some people are just not built differently psychologically such that they will not exploit whatever system is there for the purposes of political power. What's on Navette says, love the rant, but didn't know you were jabbed. Did you change your mind or were you always against it? Have you ever shamed anyone for being skeptical about the jab? Oh, I've never shamed anyone for being skeptical about the jab. What's on that? It's fun to actually see people who didn't know that because it means you're new to the channel, which is great. For those of you who don't know also, I ran for federal office in Canada. Hold on, let's bring this up. I ran for federal office in Canada. I don't know if the website is still up. Viva PPC, it shouldn't be up. Yeah, it's not up anymore. But I ran for federal office in September of last year. Oh, dear God, Wikipedia updated my... Hold on. Sorry, guys. Oh, where is it? Wikipedia updated my picture. Florida man. Oh, I don't know if they think they're trolling me. I freaking love it. Oh my goodness, is that glorious? They did it. Oh, I think Marion? Oh, Marion, come in here. My wife is here. Come. We're live. They updated my Wikipedia page.
I had to come see what you were laughing at. No.
Yep. I did. Okay. Discovered in real time, people. Okay.
Bye.
See you soon. Oh, that's funny. Oh my goodness. So yeah, they updated my Wikipedia page. I'm gonna screen grab this. So I ran for federal office, and it was last year where I ran for federal office. This was at the time when there was a judgment in British Columbia that said if you attend a party and get grandma sick, you're guilty of manslaughter. This was literally what a judge said. So I'm saying it's only a matter of time before they're actually going to criminally prosecute people in Canada for manslaughter, for breaking the COVID rules and getting someone sick. That wasn't the real reason. That was a consideration. I'm running for office. I liked to, it's going to sound, people are going to make jokes. I played with the kids from the daycare, which was across the street in the park. My kid went to the daycare across our street in Montreal. I was known in the community as being the fun guy. I would bring out fossils to show the kids. I would walk my dog, and then they would say, "Come play." And this is in COVID frenzy era. The time when the daycare was still open, but it was psychotic. Like the world was batshit crazy. And I said, I go play with the kids. If I am deemed to be the vector for infecting the daycare, I'll be public enemy number one. They're going to blame, this Florida man YouTuber, anti-vaxxer, whatever, infects kids, and God forbid one of those kids gets sick and dies. I'm not sure that I'd be able to live with myself, even if I weren't responsible, if I thought that I were responsible. And so I said, look, I'm neurotic. I've got my own, mental stuff to work through. I'm neurotic. It's irrational at times. I know it's irrational, but sometimes it doesn't make a difference. I don't even want to be able to live with that fear if it happens. So I'll get vaccinated so I can continue playing with the kids in the park. If something happens, they won't be able to say it's because the crazy nutcase anti-vaxxer YouTuber right-wing extremist infected children and killed a kid at a daycare. And I said, look, if there's any risks, I had my kids. I don't need there's certain things I don't need anymore, whether or not it interferes with your sperm counts. I don't need that stuff anymore. So I did it. That was my thought process. Judge me as you want, but just know it. I got to bring this back up and just see what the latest last update on October 7. How do I see what the last updates were? Anyhow, I ran for federal office. Electoral record. I did good. I mean, I did People's Party. We got nearly 1,500 votes. That's 3 times as much as the last election. Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. Okay. Take that out. So that's why. Now let me see what the chat has to say over there. Jay Joros says, sorry, I disagree. Put it this way. The Dems got caught cheating in the 2020. They didn't get caught. It was fortifying. Read the Time article, Jay. A red wave is coming, so they have to do whatever in order to get the U.S. into World War III to cover up their crime. Jay, let's disagree and let's revisit this in a month. Holy crap, that's funny. I can't get over they actually put that there. P. Moyer, there's nothing better than making your first thought of who to share this with and be your wife. We've been going around the house now. We've been going around all of Florida with the Florida man meme. I'm the Florida man. She's like, every joke now. Florida man doesn't pick up his clothes off the floor. Florida man doesn't close the dresser after he takes his clothes out. That's fantastic. So is that? Yeah, that's why I got vaccinated. And but I'll tell you this: had I known now what I knew then, no. Had I known then what I know now, no. And for anybody who's wondering, I got vaccinated before the U.S. even imposed the requirement of full vaccination to visit the U.S. So it wasn't a consideration because it wasn't even a policy at the time. Fortuitous to some extent because I might not have been able to get here otherwise. But that was not the reason. That wasn't even a consideration. That policy came into effect, I think, 2 months after my last jab. There was the one story of the woman when there was the issue of Johnson & Johnson and the potential clots for women. And so I was very nervous, for other reasons. But that's my rationale. Agree to disagree with it, agree with it. Now you know it, and you can judge me in full awareness of fact and law. Jess Wegg says, you got vax praying you got the saline. Well, here's a fun thing. Any foreign body going into your body can cause problems, even if it's saline. But yeah, look, I didn't go. I close the damn drawers. No, I will not close the drawers. I will leave the drawers open so that when I bang into them, I've got an excuse to be angry. Hold on, let's see here. I see something in the chat that looks fun, but I can't see it. Okay, I'm going to bring up the last run through of the daily items, the Twitterverse. I think we did good today, people. Gosh darn, that's funny. Classic. If Wikipedia was amended to make fun of me, thank you. I love it. And if someone did that as an ode to Florida Man Viva, thank you, because that's. Oh, first of all, I like that picture much better than my election picture, just because I like the way it's more of my spirit than clean cut. And yeah, I think we got everything here. Just want to remind everybody about this. I don't know why over the weekend it was trending. Toronto Star. Did Justin Trudeau need the controversial Emergencies Act to stop the Freedom Convoy? A judge will hear the arguments this week. Here, spoiler alert, he didn't. He didn't, and the RCMP confirmed as much. That's coming from the Toronto Star, and I don't want anyone ever to forget about what the Toronto Star did. By the way, did I ever judge anyone and shame anyone? No, never, full stop. And did I even give a rat's ass if anyone else was vaccinated? No, never, full stop. When I got that hit piece produced against me by W5, and the producers are telling me they're going to come over and shoot the interview about Rumble, I invite them into my house. They come. They say, we'll come to you. And don't worry, we're all double vaxxed. And I said, don't take it personally. I don't care. And I wouldn't have asked. None of my gosh darn business. And by the way, enemy of the people, Toronto Star. In every respect, we won't forget, enjoy your special seat in hell. This is from the Toronto Star. If an unvaccinated person catches it from someone who is vaccinated, boo-hoo. Too bad. I have no empathy left for the willfully unvaccinated. Let them die. I honestly don't care if they die from COVID, not even a little bit. Unvaccinated patients do not deserve ICU beds. This is like the best of genocidal rhetoric. Oh, but they're only reporting what other people are saying. They're not saying it themselves. Amplification of genocidal rhetoric on their front page. Enemy of the people. Oh, and by the way, fully subsidized, not fully, I should not, let me back that up. Subsidized by the government for whom they're promoting this genocidal message. Did Trudeau need to invoke the, oh, crap. Do you guys see my messages? Get this out of here. Did they need to? No, they didn't. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna go. I got the GoPro 11. I have been obsessing about the shot, the video that I'm going to get. That's going to win me the $1 million challenge, which hasn't started yet. I've been going around with this GoPro. I love the GoPro, but I need to remember to end the video on Rumble with a video that allows me not to get cut off. Yeah, let's do this one. Let's do the one. You know what I love here? Check this out. Present. To take us out. Here. I love that I'm getting home title lock ads on my own videos.
Probably your key asset.
Double whammy.
Ask James Finch.
HomeTitleLock.com/Viva.
A cybersecurity expert, former assistant
that's
director
Steve
of the FBI, who's now advisor
okay.
to Home Title.
We're going to end this video.
Camera a little bit.
We're going to end this stream. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for being here. Oh, Jay Joro says, have you ever heard anyone saying that they regret not getting the jab? Have you heard anybody say they regret not getting the jab? Not sure if you have heard of Dr. Martin. I have, but he has filed a lawsuit against Biden and U.S. government. COVID-19 patient filed late 2000. I suspect you mean 2020. Have I heard of anybody saying they regret not getting the jab? I can easily envision anybody who gets sick and says, I should have gotten the jab. I mean, I can easily envision that. Personally, no, because I don't think I know very many people who didn't get the jab who would ever say it, even if they did get a bad case of the Rona. I know a bunch of people. Oh, I just kicked the dog in the face. Sorry about that. I know a bunch of people who did not get the jab. Even if they did regret not getting it because they got a bad case of COVID and they would blame it on not getting jabbed, they wouldn't say it. I don't even think they would think that, though. So the answer to that question is no. Oh, okay. Let's. Oh, you're still seeing the video. My bad. Sorry about that. Did I license this video out with anybody? Every now and again, when I've licensed a video through an agency, they claim my YouTube video for playing it, which I don't care about either. But it's funny. This is when I caught a pike trolling with. Was I using the jitterbug? Trolling with my drone, and I believe I'm using a jitterbug as well. Let's just skip. Okay, here we go. We're gonna play it out with this, people. Thank you for all being here. Thank you for, I don't know, allowing me to vent my therapeutic release of frustration with the world in trying to make it more understandable and tolerable to people. So thank you for being here. Another great day. We're going to do it again tomorrow. But in order to leave everybody a little bit happier, don't do this unless you're prepared to lose your drone. And don't do this unless you've verified that it's in fact not illegal in your state. In Vermont, specifically prohibited to fish with a drone, as if it procures you any advantage. I'm going to end the stream by playing this out. And everybody, get out there, exercise, fresh air, talk to people, continue to conduct yourself in a way that will make your parents, your children, and your pets proud of you, and you can do no wrong. I will see you tomorrow. Be well.
Jitterbug. Okay. I just need someone to make sure my numbers are rolling. Are my numbers rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Did a fish go after it? I didn't see that, but I saw one after a minute and a half. I got a fish. I actually have a fish. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Bring it, guys! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Do you think he's got a fish, Ethan? I saw it!
Oh, it's still on. It's still on. It's pulling. It's fighting, guys. It's actually fighting as we bring it in. Okay, now there's still a fish on. Marion. Okay, it's still on. Take this. Take this.
What do I do?
Don't press stop yet. Don't press stop recording on the phone yet. Do not.
I hope Mila comes back.
It's a pike, people. Oh my! No! 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 It's a pike! It's a pike! It's a pike! It's a pike! It's okay about the shoes. Don't worry about the shoes. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. Let me just get the hook out of his mouth. I'm gonna put it on the weeds. Okay, people. Watch the hook, please. Watch the hook.
Wait, let's take a picture.
Take a picture. Take the picture. I did it again, people. I caught a pike with that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh yeah, of course we're letting it go. Look at this. It's off. Oh my God, people. I have created fire.
10 minutes.
10 minutes is all we've been doing.
10 minutes total.
He's doing what he thought.
That was a real fish.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Wow. You did it.
Oh, he's down.